Hey everybody, I'm super excited to be continuing with the mental health awareness series. I'm going to be bringing on a special guest today. He's a fitness enthusiast, a mental wellness practitioner, and he is the publisher of Modern Luxury's Angeleno magazine. So I'm super excited to bring him on right now. Christopher Gialanella, ladies and gentlemen. Hey everybody, thanks for coming. Hey Donald, hey Chelsea, hey Rob, Kirsten.
Hey,
Christopher, what's up?
how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm ready for a great week. You know, it's Monday, right? Week 8 or 9. Who's counting? I'm ready.
I'm glad you're counting. I didn't even know where we were. I didn't even know the range we were in. I stopped counting. I never even started counting.
That's smart. Yeah. So everything's good. How have you been, Ben?
Dude, I've been enjoying it. I've been staying healthy. And, there's ups and downs, right? And I'm a meditation teacher. I'm a counselor. I do all kinds of things. Um, and I didn't become a meditation teacher because I'm enlightened. I became a meditation teacher to help navigate my own mental challenges and emotional challenges, and that's really what inspired the mental health awareness series, is really not because I'm an expert, but because I thought it could be helpful, and if I'm going through ups and downs, I know other people are going through ups and downs. So I've been seeing a lot of great content that you've been generating.
I think it's great that you're doing this, Ben, especially now with what's going on in the world. I think all of us have really kind of gotten to know ourselves in a different way, right? We've all really kind of hit rock bottom in a way. We're worried about so many things, but we're also finding the good out of this is that we're finding a way to really challenge ourselves, to really find the good, right? We have time to reflect and really a time to really nurture your own mind, which I think is great.
Totally. Okay. So what's your process been like? Did you start out feeling like, okay, this is going to be good, quiet time, or was it more challenging at the beginning?
In the beginning, I felt like, oh, wow, what is going on, right? I had never experienced anything like this. I was actually really scared, scared of the unknown, scared of not knowing if I was going to catch the virus, scared that my family was going to get sick, scared to touch anything, scared to go out in public. I remember the first time I went to the supermarket and saw that it was right around St. Patrick's Day. The only meat they had was corned beef. Everything else was gone. No chicken, no turkey, no. So when you look at that, you're like, wow, it's really, we're all just vultures grabbing whatever we can to survive, So I think at first it was super scary. Then as the weeks went by, I felt that spending time with my family really helped out a lot. And I think having that time with them was really healing. And I really loved, because you can't get this time back, And I think we could all look at it like that, like to have 8 to 10 to 12 weeks with your family day in and day out. I mean, it's not so bad. Obviously, if you love your family, which I do. So, as time is going by, I've actually enjoyed the time that I've had, spending more time with my son, spending great time with my wife, catching up on good reading and, great TV shows. I mean, me, Ben, in the magazine world, I'm all over the place. So for me, it's a good way to kind of hit the reset button.
Totally. And I wanted to even touch on that. So two things are coming up. How does it look? Are you doing anything like you just said, you're in publishing, you're in the magazine world, which means you got to create excellent content. You got to do it consistently, regularly. You kind of always have to not only compete in a very competitive industry, but you also have to sort of compete with yourself and one up yourself regularly and come up with new creative ideas. So in what ways, I want to hear a little bit about how you managed your mental wellness, because I know we've meditated together before. I know you're very enthusiastic about like your fitness regimen and all of that. In what ways did you do it normally, and what, if anything, has changed once you entered into like quarantine mode?
It's funny. I was one of those guys who would get up at 5 in the morning. I'd be the first one at the gym, because it was the only time I could work out was at that time. Now I'm sleeping in a little bit later, you know. I do virtual classes in the morning at my gym down in Orange County, Stark. I'm doing a lot more meditation and yoga classes with another guy named Tim Sinesi. So I'm really finding that having this time, you could really organize your day a lot better. Knowing that you're not running out to a meeting or looking for a parking spot or worried about, you know, who's in the office, who's not. It's been a great time for people like me to really settle in and have a regime. I mean, look, I do miss going to the gym, but the virtual classes, I actually really enjoy them, you know? So that's been great during the quarantine for sure. No, I'll say the fitness stuff has been great. Honestly, sitting around on my couch and watching Netflix and doing is not me. You know, I feel like I want to be active. I want to take care of myself. And also, I don't want to get, you know, any diseases. I don't want to catch anything. And I feel, you know, you want to be in your best shape. You want to feel really good because, you know, you don't want to be one of those statistics. You don't want to be on a respirator. You don't want, you know, ventilator. You want to be the healthiest guy you could possibly be. And that's how I'm looking at everything now.
Yeah, that's really, really good. And, you know, and as a meditation teacher, I've been really appreciating that same thing where I love seeing my friends and my clients, my students meditating at home. Like, this is incredible. You know, you used to have to drive clear across town. People would say things like, hey, it took me 45 minutes to get to a 45-minute class. It's going to take me 45 minutes to get home, you know, especially in LA, you know.
No, and I remember I went to the den with you a couple times, and it's great when you're there. You're like, oh, I feel so connected. And the minute you get into your car, it's almost like you're back to craziness, driving around and trying. So I think being home, I think it's great because I think we do have that extra area where you could really focus on yourself, and you're not running around, and you're actually in a place that's security, in a place that feels great. So for me, the meditation at home has been wonderful.
Totally. And I also think it trains you to know that you can create that peaceful environment at home. Whereas I know a lot of my students are saying that the only time they ever meditated was when they came to one of my classes at Unplug or the Den or one of the other places that I teach, you know. So it's really cool to start to like train the brain and the mind to see your home as a place where you can work out, as a place where you can meditate, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we got a question. First of all, I want to say hi to everyone. Hey, Maru and Kelly and Jason and Jared and Rob and Raja and everyone else who's with us. Alex just asked a question. What kind of workouts do we do? So, you know, I know both of us were doing weight training at the gym. For me, where I'm quarantining, I don't have weights. You know, so I'm all about that, like, resistance band life.
Exactly.
I'm huge into yoga, have always been into yoga. So that's for me. What have your workouts been like? You said you've been taking classes. What have those consisted of?
I've been doing those high intensity training classes, those HIIT classes, where jumping jacks, you know, leg lifts, no weights really at all. I mean, I have 2 barbells that are 15 pounds, but, you know, pretty much, and I feel like way more in shape than I do just lifting weights at the gym. So I think when this is all over, I mean, I will go back to the gym 1 or 2 days a week, but I'm glad that I have these opportunities. And I think a lot of the gyms are also realizing these are great programs, that, you know, people can do it in their home, you know, they don't need to come to the gym. And also it's a good way for some of these gyms to make some extra money when the time comes, because I think a lot of people love it. I mean, my wife is doing a lot of classes too with another gym called Indigo Fitness in Silver Lake. They have great virtual classes. So, I mean, we're all sort of finding new ways to really get our health back, you know, and I think it's wonderful. I do.
Yeah. And I know that everyone's responding to it differently. You know, because we don't already work out at home. I mean, for me, I really started to work out in the gym more consistently than I ever have in my entire life. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, oh man, I just barely you know.
Yeah,
and so for me, it's been more of a challenge to start to introduce that type of physical activity. And I think it is relevant for mental health. You know, I think physical health and mental health are inextricably linked, really.
Honestly, it's so true because I feel like if I go a day of not doing anything with any exercise, I didn't have a good day. You know, I feel I need to do something, whether it's going for a long walk or just, you know, I feel like the days where, and there are days where I do absolutely nothing, you know, we're all human, but I think in hindsight, you feel a lot better when you're actively doing something, you know, you accomplish something. And I think your mind is so much better when you've done something like that.
Definitely, you know, and especially, you know, there's a couple things that we know just biologically, physiologically, that exercise provides. You know, you get endorphins and you get the dopamine and the serotonin releases, so that you're actually in. And a lot of the holistic treatments for depression, anxiety, OCD, these kinds of things are actually supplements that provide endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine. So giving yourself a shot, you know, through exercising, you know, it doesn't necessarily replace prescription medication. You know, I'm not a doctor. I can't advise on that. But I do know that for me, I have just like anybody, I have spurts of anxiety or depression, or worry or concern. You know, that actually I do experience an amelioration of it when I do work out. You know, and there's something about when you really work out the body. For me, I'm a yoga person. That's my favorite thing. I like to do yoga with like resistance bands or weights, you know, and you're like squeezing a couple extra push-ups when you're doing a chaturanga or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about it is the exercising of the left and the right sides of the whole body, but the brain, you know, and I think it brings balance, you know, into the system.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I do. You know, I've been doing yoga for so many years, and I think honestly, it is probably one of the best ways to really clear your mind and keep fit in the same aspect. I think it's wonderful. I mean, I grew up in New Jersey. Nobody ever did yoga. I mean, when I moved to California in 1994, there were a few things I learned: yoga, avocados, arugula salad. We never had that in New Jersey. And Mexican food, right? Those are four
Oh
things
yeah.
that like are very California. And they're all
Oh
good things
yeah.
that make
I
you
love
feel
those
really
things.
good too, you know?
Yeah,
So
those are
there you
all
go.
great. Those are like, yeah, those are all mood boosters, all of them, including the Mexican food.
For sure, for sure. I mean, look, growing up, it was really funny, you know, not funny, but depression, you know, I've never faced any sort of depression in my life, and I'm kind of blessed maybe in a way, that I
Hmm.
never really had anything traumatic happen to me. And sometimes I feel guilty that there's so many people that are struggling with depression and, you know, mental issues and things like that. I'm always here to help. I wish I could relate somehow, but I'm always feel like I'm a positive force, right? So that's what I have to add to someone, right? I'm always there to help. I think helping is really the first key to really help, you know, really being a good person and really making yourself feel good is being able to help others.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think recognizing the areas where we are privileged or blessed can sort of like set some context. Like, and in meditation, a big part of what we do is open our minds to seeing the bigger picture. You know, and we all have our different kinds of struggles, so we try not to compare ourselves to each other, but just looking at the context. Context is not the same thing as comparison. You know, looking at the context and saying, you know, I'm in a situation where I have a lot of resources. You know, you publish luxury magazines. You know, so the world that you're in is, you know, by definition high end. By definition, only a small population of people can access it. If it were more accessible to everyone, it wouldn't be luxury. That's what luxury means. You know. And so, what are some ways that you infuse like helping other people or philanthropy or even
Yeah. Well, you know, it's
any of that kind of
interesting.
stuff
You know,
in your work?
we started Modern Luxury back in 1994 in Chicago. And the idea behind it was our founder would go to charity events, take pictures of people, put them into a newsletter, and then he would distribute them in the neighborhood. And it was really about community in the beginning, and it still is today. But that's how we really got our start. But I will say, now that COVID sort of hit, we took a good look at our tonality with luxury. And does it make sense to broadcast the best handbag at Hermes? Does it make sense to talk about a trip you could take around the world? Probably not. So we actually decided to change everything we're doing. And I'm really proud of our team because it's really helped us mentally as well, with our hope issue that's coming out, where we're honoring, 85 heroes, people on the front line who are doing some great things. Some of the police officers, grocery store workers, some politicians. So it's going to be a national feel good magazine that we're doing in all the markets that we're in. And we're in 20 markets across the country. So I'm super proud of the team that we're actually doing something that's still community related, right? Still a little bit luxury, but we're really focusing on what's happening in the world and doing it in a really sophisticated way that really adds to people's lives in a positive way. And, we're seeing a lot more magazines are being read now. There's a big article in the New York Times this morning. Magazine sales are through the roof. People want to absorb content, and modern luxury and Angeleno and Riviera have always been sort of that vehicle to take people away from their everyday problems, so we're still able to do that. And I'm proud of the team because we're doing something really remarkable. We have Mr. Brainwash, who's a great graffiti artist. He's doing our cover. So that's going to be phenomenal. Mayor Garcetti is writing a piece as well in the beginning of the issue. So I'm really proud of our city. And I love Los Angeles. I love where I live. I love Southern California. So I feel like when you wake up in the morning and you're proud of what you do, I think mentally that makes you positive, and it also helps reinforce that to others. I think people like to be around positive people.
Definitely. We're so, there are some people who identify as empaths. I'm an empath, but really we're all empaths. Human beings are empathic creatures. When we're around something, someone might be more sensitive to it. Someone might be more sensitive or intuitive in different ways, but we do feed off of each other. We do have an energy exchange, and there's something interesting that you said. You said it's always been, your magazines have always been a vehicle to take people away from their problems. And what I think is so interesting is, as a meditation teacher, the idea is to not be afraid of your problems. It's not that we're trying to change the outside world, it's that we mutate and we change so that we can deal with our problems in new ways. So that's what the meditation work is typically about. And what I think is interesting is that this new hope issue that you're talking about sort of represents sort of like a bridge between maybe like avoiding or taking a break from or taking a step away from your problems and actually addressing the problems in a larger scale. To me, what's attractive about luxury, I've never been money motivated. I think that, I'm a Libra, and they say Libras love beautiful things. So I think that there's that part of me that thinks, certain high-end things are beautiful. And sometimes they just totally are just gorgeous, and there's like no denying it. And so I definitely appreciate that. But for me, what's so attractive and interesting about luxury and about wealth is sort of more what's represented in that hope issue, that philanthropic, not just philanthropy in like a traditional sense, but what I'm seeing, especially with younger people, millennials and Gen Z, they want to go fix things. They see these problems happening in the world. They're being raised with technology. They're being exposed to so much technology and so much information.
Right.
That they're coming up with these ideas. They're like, that problem can be solved. 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 And I think that that's sort of what we're looking at. And that's why it's interesting to me that modern luxury is sort of taking a step in that direction. My prediction would be that even though this is sort of created by the pandemic, this concept may be sort of like inspired by the challenges that we're experiencing in the pandemic, and that's who you're featuring as people who are heroes in this context. But my prediction would be that you're going to find more and more interest in that kind of content across all of your different markets, especially with a younger audience. They're gonna love that. They want to, especially a younger audience who's born into these luxury families. I'm seeing, there's always the quintessential, rich kid who still has a lot to learn, but we are finding that there are more and more kids who are born into privilege. I mean, honestly, to an extent, I was born into privilege. My family's not super rich or anything like that, but really, I went to great schools. I had everything I was taken care of. We were always living in beautiful homes, had everything that we could ever need. Both my parents are entrepreneurs, very successful. And I remember really seeing, I remember the first time I really learned that we were privileged. And I was like, oh, whoa, like we're actually kind of like really fortunate, you know?
Right.
And then that started to change the way I related to everything else. And I think that's what's so powerful about wealth, you know, is that we can actually, when I'm not talking about really, I think anyone can influence the larger community in the larger world, but I think that we're finding more and more really wealthy people seeing different ways where they can sort of like find their niche and find their way to contribute, you know, like you're doing with your magazine.
I think it's a really good point you're making. And I've been talking to a lot of business people, right, about either being involved somehow in what we're doing with the Hope issue or advertising or whatever it might be. And everyone really wants to help. And I think we're all becoming one again. And I feel like when I mentioned some of the grocery store workers, I've always been really tight friends with the cashiers and the Starbucks barista, but I'm really glad now when you see people going out of their way and saying thank you for working, thank you for being here, thank you for providing something to us while we're all kind of nestled in our homes. You're out there putting yourself in danger in a way. So I think the society is going to be a kinder place, and I hope we don't go back to a normal place. I hope it's a kind place where everybody respects everybody. And even like in Los Angeles, talking about mental health, the homeless problem to me is it's gotten way out of line, and I've seen it a lot more now with what's been going on. I haven't really been out of my house too much, but I did take a ride the other day in Venice, and I couldn't believe what I saw right near the Penmar Golf Course. I couldn't believe what I saw down at the Venice Beach. And I feel we need to really help these people out. And I think a lot of it is mental health. And I think we need more social workers. We need more people like you, meditation. We need people who are really going to help, because I think if we could really solve that problem here in Los Angeles with the homeless people, we could solve it in other cities, and maybe it will eventually disappear somehow or not be as bad as it is now. So I think we're all keeping our eyes open for others. And I think when something like this happens, a pandemic, which obviously none of us ever thought would happen, but I think it makes us stop and think and really think about other people. And even like my 50th birthday is coming up this year. And I said to my wife, you know what I want? I want to donate money to an organization or to a person who's out of work, right? For me, I want to do something good for somebody else. Those little things I think go a long way. And I want to bring up one point which I thought was so remarkable. There's a wonderful family in Beverly Hills, the On family, who own Crustacean Restaurant. They have a restaurant in Santa Monica, Orange County. They actually decided to create a program to create these boxes of groceries, flour, toilet paper, and they were giving it back to people who were in the hospitality business who lost their jobs. What restaurant would ever think of doing something like that? So I love that everyone is doing something a little bit different. Restaurants are giving toilet paper out. Like, we're doing a Hope issue. I like that brands are really looking at what's happening and really finding really great ways to help the community. And it's remarkable when you see things like that. And it makes everybody feel really good too.
Yeah, totally. There's something very healing about knowing that we're contributing to the lives of someone else, and creating some kind of healing out for other people, you know. And there's something really interesting that you said, you know, you hope that this, that we don't go back to how things really were, you know. And I think that I just want to say, you never know who's watching, you know, and you never know who is going to be impacted by what you say and what you do. And I want to just encourage you to continue to be bold with the magazine and allow yourself the opportunity to redefine what luxury means. You know, you're doing that with the Hope issue. And I think that's going to be huge. There's no doubt in my mind that that's going to be one of your most popular issues. You know, you said we need more people like meditation teachers and counselors and social workers and stuff like that. It's like, you know what? Those things that you just listed, we don't make any money. You have to be like a Deepak Chopra level meditation teacher to make some serious money. Like, we don't make any money. Teachers don't make any money. Social workers don't make any money. The way that, and you have a unique gift and a unique resource, first of all, to be, as an individual, you're very open-minded. And you can see things, and I can tell that you're really smart, and you can see things, and you're intuitive and receptive. And with that, you also have this distribution network. And in order to, to have an outlet, to be able to speak into the minds and into the lives of people who are reading a luxury magazine, of wealthy people across this nation, the way that you do, there's something extraordinary that you can actually contribute to in a cultural way. This is one issue, and that's a great gift. But I don't think you're going to ever go back to exactly how things were. You're changing. We're changing in this experience, and I think that people reading this magazine, this one issue is going to change. But I would encourage you to just run with that and be bold, because I can tell that that's your heart. You're turning 50. You look fantastic, by the way. You look excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
50 is the new 30. So yeah, you look great.
I'm seeing a lot more gray
totally
in my hair
is,
these days too. But what are you going to do?
Well, I think we probably have the same amount, and I'm 32, so just saying. But yeah,
right.
The idea that you want to donate, that you want to figure out some way to be generous for your birthday, and that's how you want to celebrate. That's a consciousness shift. And you infusing your consciousness into this, especially through the national outlet, like, you can actually speak into and shift and contribute to the direction that we take as a nation. And we, of course, no matter what the news says, no matter what anyone says, media in the United States, especially luxury media in the United States, has an extraordinary impact internationally.
Yeah, no, it's interesting too, because we are donating net profit proceeds back to Feeding America for this issue. And that's something that we've never done before. And I think it's remarkable that we're able to do that. When you hear about a lot of magazines and companies that are closing, we're actually finding a way to survive. Look, it hasn't been easy for us either. I'm not going to say it's been a walk in the park over the past couple months, but we're at least doing something that we're all proud of. And I think knowing that we're giving back to society in a way, and you mentioned it before, Ben, we're taking luxury in sort of a different light. And I love the direction we're going. We are continuing the Heroes theme in our July, August, and our September fall issues as well. And, most of the time, modern luxury is about, luxury goods and celebrities and fashion and all that, and the greatest place to travel. But we are going to kind of keep the tone to what it needs to be. And even the celebrities are really kind of keeping a low profile too right now, which is kind of interesting as well, because everyone's in the same boat. We're all home. We're all doing our things. And, one of our cover stars, Laura Dern, who I adore, she lives on the West Side, and I follow her on Instagram too. And I love what she's doing during this time as well, with, talking about art and talking about different things and promoting different people who are just doing great things in town. So I think it's great when you see a celebrity giving back like that as well and using their voice. We've got a media, but they also have big voices too. So I'm proud of what a lot of Hollywood people have been doing lately as well.
Definitely, and I think it's really, really cool that you guys are making that financial contribution to Feeding America. A lot of my background is in nonprofit, specifically anti-human trafficking work, and money is huge. It goes a long way when you can find an organization that has an efficient process. That's huge to be able to make a financial contribution like that. But I will say, even outside of a financial contribution, just to be able to provide coverage is huge. I know that for me, as an independent author, I'm grateful to have a publisher that provides me with great distribution and everything like that. But I know how huge it is. I've experienced firsthand as an individual with the meditation and counseling work that I provide, but then also every nonprofit I've ever been involved in. Even if someone can't contribute financially, an article is huge to be able to have some kind of coverage, you know. And I think that you've supported different organizations I've been involved in with different articles and things like that over the years, and that's always been something we always really, really cherish, and we include, and we like to show people and present, you know. So I definitely think what you're doing is great, and I think all the different levels that you're doing it is just huge, you know. So,
I will say one more thing about what you mentioned with the articles and things like that. I'm probably one of the most open people, I think, in LA when it comes to, you have an idea, you have a story you want to pitch. I try to answer every single email. And even if it's something that I know I can't do, I think people really appreciate getting a response. You know, everybody wants to be heard. And I'll even say, I'm so sorry, this is something we can't do right now. Check back in a couple months, or this doesn't fit what we're all about, but I appreciate what you're doing. People love that, you know, and I think it's important to always be able to always put yourself in somebody else's shoes, right? Because you never know where you're going to wind up next either, right? Who knows where I'll be in 10 years? Hopefully I'll be doing some great things in this world, and I think I will be, but you never know.
Yeah.
So I always put myself in other people's shoes, and I think communication and really just having respect for people mentally helps people in the long run, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You know, and I think it's really, really good. You know, we find, you know, I was reading some statistics about drug overdose, drug addiction, and suicide, and other mental health issues that lead to suicide. And there was a really interesting statistic. It's very rarely that a middle-class person, statistically more rare, commits suicide. It's more rare for very, very low income and very, very high income. And so the interesting thing to me is really this, what that means evidently to me is that the low income, of course, there's extraordinary depression and sadness and challenges that come with not having the resources you need to provide for your family. And then on the other side of that, with extraordinary wealth, there is something that can happen mentally when you're not tuning into a higher purpose for living. You know, life's not about the Hermes bag. It's just not. It's not about the collection of cars, and it's not about the house, and those things are really, really fun. I have to say, like, it's you know, don't get me wrong. I mean, beautiful things are beautiful, but what you're talking about is communication. It's respect for other people's life experience, like you said, putting yourself in other people's shoes. And I think that you're a really great example of that. That's why I wanted to invite you to do this, because, you know, to be the publisher of a luxury magazine and a network of luxury magazines, you know, and to be as open and receptive as you are, and to include, I think we met because you were featuring the anti-human trafficking organization that I was involved in. I think that's how we initially even connected, you know. And so I think that's a really, really important thing that you're doing. It's important work that you're doing, because I think it's fulfilling. It helps people experience fulfillment and find purpose in their lives. So you're doing great work in the world. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. And so are you. I mean, like I said, what you're doing and your books are phenomenal. Even the people that I've read about through you are just really interesting people. And Marianne Williamson is such an inspiration as well. And I think everything you're doing, Ben, is remarkable, and keep up the great work. And, you know, I remember meeting you 5 years ago, and to see what you're doing today is just fantastic. And I'm super proud to be your friend and to be on your show and help you out with whatever you need.
You're the best. Thank you for all of that. Well, thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, no, this is great. Now I get to go have my dinner.
Yeah, go have dinner. Thanks everybody for watching, and thank you so much, Christopher Gialanella. Go ahead and follow him on Instagram. It's Christopher Gia, G-I-A.
That's right.
So,
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, go follow him. Follow what he's up to, and so this will be up on YouTube, and it'll be up as a podcast here shortly. So thank you, and thanks everybody for being here. Chris, you're the bomb.
Thanks, Ben. Take care.
Take care. See you guys. Bye-bye. See you, Chris.
Soon. Bye-bye.